Hello guys, it is me again, it's HorrorFan34, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to day 18 of my 31 Days of Horror in October. Now we're getting on to another one that I know a lot of people probably would pick as probably one of their favorite horror films, but I feel like the more and more I watch this film, I enjoy it more and more, and you can tell by the title what the review is, but like I said before in my previous videos, like I explained, if anybody who hasn't been keeping up with this marathon, basically for the month of October, for each day for the month of October, I'll be reviewing some of my personal favorite horror films. So I'm doing one horror film per day. So I've reviewed, classics, obscure ones, underrated ones, more recent ones, things like that, like basically any kind of horror film. Now we're getting on to day 18. So this is review number 18 for the month of October. And now we're going to get on to this one. And if you can tell by the title already, that review is going to be on I Know What You Did Last Summer. Now, I Know What You Did Last Summer was released in 1997, directed by Jim Gillespie, who went on to direct I See You with Sylvester Stallone, which I really do love that one. That's one of my personal favorite Stallone films. Really, it's probably one of the closest things that Stallone got to do as being in a horror movie, like other than Cobra. That was really the only other horror, like quote unquote, closest thing to a horror film that Stallone got to be in. So before I See You, he did this film, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Basically, you have four friends. You have Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ryan Phillippe, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and Freddie Prinze Jr. Takes place around the 4th of July, and they're coming home from a party, and basically what ends up happening is that Ryan Phillippe is on top of the car. He's drinking, he's yelling and screaming. He ends up spilling some alcohol on the car, and Freddie Prinze Jr. is driving, and he has trouble seeing what's going on, and then they end up hitting somebody, and basically they hit somebody, and they don't know what to do. They're trying to think about like going to the cops, but some of them don't want to go to the cops and things like that. So then they decide to make a pact, and they push the body into the water, and they say we're gonna keep this a secret and all that stuff. So we're gonna keep this a secret to all of us. It ends up being 1 year later. Jennifer Love Hewitt comes home, and she gets this note saying, I know what you did last summer, and then they basically realize that somebody is messing with them. And not only is he messing with them, but he wants to kill them. And basically you find out it's the fisherman, with the hook hand. And basically they get picked off one by one. Now, this film is more of a different slasher film than like some of the other ones like Scream or Urban Legend, things like that. This one this one for slashers doesn't really have much of a body count, because there are some good kills in this film, but it's not like a really big like body count. This one is more of like one of those slasher films where it's more of a mystery more than a slasher, which I think is very interesting, because I know this was around the time that Scream and Urban Legend came out, or quote unquote were big at that time, and unlike those films, granted, Scream had that like mystery kind of like feel to it as well, but I feel like Scream had a much more higher body count than this film. This film was focused more on trying to go to like the mystery route with some slasher elements, and this film I really do enjoy. First off, getting to the cast, I think the cast does a solid job. I mean, I wouldn't say like it's like I like this cast better than Scream. Like I really like the cast a lot more in Scream, but I really do like the cast in this film too. I mean, Jennifer Love Hewitt does a pretty decent job. So does Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar, which I think this was the first time that Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. met each other. And of course, both of them later on went on to be in the Scooby-Doo live-action movies, the first two, where they played Fred and Daphne. And now they're a couple now. So I think this was like their first encounter together. Or they might have did like one other film before this, I don't remember for sure, but and of course you have Ryan Phillippe as kind of like the jock character, who I think Ryan Phillippe does a great job in this as well. And then you have other supporting characters. You have Brigitte Wilson, who is in Mortal Kombat. And I think she was also in Billy Madison as well. And you also have Johnny Galecki, way before The Big Bang Theory. Has a small role in this as the character of Max, who gets killed by the fisherman. And then you got some really good scenes in this film as well. I mean, like, the most famous scene in the entire film, of course, is when Jennifer Love Hewitt's saying, you know, what are you waiting for? Like, she's screaming, like, what are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for? And she screams out into the open and things like that. And, of course, one of my personal favorite scenes in this film deals with Sarah Michelle Gellar being chased by the fisherman. It goes on for quite a long time to chase. I mean, she's getting chased by the fisherman, and you know, the chase goes on for quite a while, and it's a pretty intense moment. She gets into like this like store thing, and she sees like all these curtain things with these guys, these like figures standing there, and then one of them has the fisherman, and he pops out, and things like that. But I think I Know What You Did Last Summer does a lot of things well. I think it's directed very solidly by Jim Gillespie. I think the cast does a solid job. I mean, Jennifer Love Hewitt, I actually do like in this film. I actually like Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar. I like Ryan Phillippe. Some of the other supporting cast members do a fine job. And yeah, and actually Muse Watson is Ben Willis, the fisherman, who was in one of the other films I reviewed for this marathon called If I Die Before I Wake. And if you don't know much about that review, then I recommend you go check out that review for that film, because Muse Watson was the bad guy in that film, and he's the fisherman in this film. I think he did this film a year before he did If I Die Before I Wake, because I think If I Die Before I Wake was '98, this was '97. But this film does a lot of stuff well. I mean, it does have some good slasher elements in it because it is a slasher, but it's more of a mystery kind of like film, and I really do like the aspect of it being a mystery. I think the cast does a great job as well. Jennifer Love Hewitt I like Ryan Phillippe, I like Sarah Michelle Gellar, I like Freddie Prinze Jr. Some of the other supporting cast members do a fine job. It's directed it's a very solid direction by Jim Gillespie, and it's a different kind of a slasher film because it's more of like a mystery kind of like slasher film, which I do like. Which I actually like that kind of idea, and I also like the fact that it takes place around the 4th of July. You don't really see too many horror films being taking place on the 4th of July, so I think that makes the film kind of unique in my opinion. But I'm not gonna say much more about it. I Know What You Did Last Summer, but if you haven't seen this film, I recommend you give this a look. If you like those like '90s like slasher films like Scream or Urban Legend or things like that. So that is pretty much it for my review for I Know What You Did Last Summer. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Alright guys, take care.